If there is one word which defines the American identity, it is freedom. We call our president the leader of the free world when we present ourselves to other nations advocating across the globe for democracy and human rights. It is freedom which drives that discussion. There are even members of this very committee who belong to something called the Freedom Caucus. But how can we be a free people when our governing document does not prohibit discrimination against more than half of the population? The answer, of course, is that we cannot. The lack of constitutional protections for anyone who is not a cisgender man is a blemish on the very idea of Americanism.
Alyssa, we're having a technical problem.
The lack of constitutional protections for anyone who is not a cisgender man is a blemish on the very idea of Americanism. As long as the Constitution allows gender-based discrimination, the United States can never achieve the greatness to which it aspires. 85% of UN member states have constitutions which explicitly guarantee equality for women and girls. Madam Chair, if you lived in Latvia or Iceland, you would be assured of having the same rights as the men on this committee. Here in the United States of America, you are not. Today, a white man on this committee will probably ask me which rights American women do not have that American men do. Allow me to preempt that question. There are many current gender-driven injustices in our country.
We live, I guess the question was asked, why does America hate women? We live in a country where gender-driven injustices exist. We live in a country that Congress has failed us. We live in a country that one of the witnesses says, I'm afraid of being killed. You know, you wonder why 152 people from 152 countries are trying to get into America and they're not leaving. I wonder what your testimony would be on the women that are being raped that are coming into this country. I wonder what your testimony would be with the Uyghurs in China who wanted freedom and are now incarcerated. I wonder what your testimony would be with the Kate Stileys that are getting gunned down by illegals. And I wonder what your testimony would be over the 22 cities that have been destroyed and the businesses that have been destroyed. But this one particularly stood out, Ms. Milano, and thank you for bringing up the Freedom Caucus. I'm a proud member because we promote freedom. But let me quote what you said. Discrimination exists in half of the population of America. Can you name me 3 things good about this country?
Of course I can, but before I do that, I'd like to address a couple of issues, one of which you mentioned rape. I have been sexually abused. I would like the same constitutional equality as my abuser. Second of all,
my time is running out, and I need 3 things good about America that none of the 6 mentioned. Just 3 things that are good about this country.
Freedom of speech.
That's a good thing?
Freedom of choice. Yes.
To kill a child.
I believe that abortion is health care.
Really?
I do.
Should double homicide be eliminated from the books if
I would also
hold on, let me just ask a question, Ms. Milano.
Okay.
I listened to you. If a woman and a child are murdered today and the child dies, it's double homicide. Should that go off the books?
The 14th Amendment creates a constitutional right to abortion. Do you want to repeal the 14th Amendment? I do not.
Name me some more. Which positive? You named the freedom of speech. What's your other 2?
Freedom of speech, freedom of choice.
Freedom of choice.
Opportunity for people that come to this
country.
Thank
you for at least
as immigrants. Migration is a real thing, and because of the government's inaction on climate change, it will continue to happen more.
Okay, so those are three good things. And then if this is passed, sex could be interpreted. You mentioned you were raped. Sex could be interpreted by the courts to mean a person's sexual orientation or gender identity, implicating faith-based nonprofits, women and children's privacy and safety, and women's sports rights. Is this something you agree with in this? Does this make our children safer by being identified as a man or a woman and going to a woman's bathroom?
So if...
Yes or no? My time is up.
If a state has a compelling interest in maintaining a specific sex-based distinction, for example, limiting a battered woman's shelter to women
You're not
to
answering my question, ma'am.
them from continued trauma, the ERA will not affect it.
Madam Chair, my time's up. Thank you.
Will help advance social, economic, and racial justice. It will improve the lived experiences for Black women who are disproportionately affected by inequality and inequity in this country. It is not surprising that the slaveholders, all white men, who wrote the Constitution did not write in equal rights across genders. And it is not surprising that their disregard for gender equity has disproportionately harmed Black women, brown women, indigenous women, and trans women. In my district and in districts across the country, Black women are subjected to harmful policies that make us more likely to be evicted, be underpaid, die during childbirth, lack access to abortion, and be victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and police brutality. Notice I said and.
Thank you, Congressman, for your question. For every dollar a man makes, the average woman makes 82 cents, with Black women earning 62 cents to the dollar, Native women earning 57 cents, and Latinas earning 54 cents to the dollar. This is not different in my industry. And I would also like to add that we've heard a lot from our Republican friends that about our economy and about women getting back to work. Women are not, we don't have the choices to be equal parts in our economy. And it has been researched that if we were equal partners in our economy, it would boost our economy $4.3 trillion over the next 10 years, as per the ERA Coalition's research. So what are we hoping for? In my industry, but mostly for the most vulnerable women, we are looking for equal pay for equal work, prevention of discrimination in hiring, firing, promotion, and benefits, protecting women from pregnancy discrimination, and it would provide a constitutional basis for claims of gender violence. The modern woman needs the ERA to provide protections against the rolling back the advances in women's rights that have already been achieved. And when we talk about women having choices, I just want to say that most of the time, we are not given choices. There are certain jobs that we can do as women, or we are allowed to do as women, most in hospitality or domestic work or frontline workers. So I really resent the notion that women are making different choices. We have different opportunities, and part of that is because of having no constitutional equality. We are just looking for equal protections, equal opportunity, equal rights. And if we are treated as anything less than human, we also ask for equal recourse. Thank you. I want everyone to note that that came 5 amendments after, or before, sorry, the 19th Amendment, which is our ability to vote. So clearly the 14th Amendment does not provide equal protection, or women would have had, been allowed to vote after the 14th Amendment was passed. Also, I want to say we've also heard a lot today about just starting over. Let's start this process over. How long do we need to wait for women, trans women, non-binary people to be included in our founding document. Thank you very much.